Welcome everyone. Welcome to the One Love Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show. Today we're filming in the beautiful Pennsylvania area, and it's at the Harmony Mountain Institute for Living. Awesome place, beautiful views, and very peaceful, of course. So this show, what is One Love Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show? It's actually going to be hearing weekly, and be having various topics. Based on our topics, we'll have physical health, we'll have relationship issues dealing with, we'll have addictions, we'll have emotional well-being. It's going to be an awesome show, a half an hour, and my guest host will be Dr. Peter Amato. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, Julia Brown, for having me here today, and hello, viewers. Nice to meet you all. Many of you I've already met and know, but as you know, I'm a family member in the Caribbean, and along with Julia Brown, we're going to bring to you a wonderful weekly show on health, lifestyle, well-being, and all of the attributes that have us be humans.
Awesome. So when we come back after this break, you're going to hear all about who Dr. Peter Amato is. So we'll be right back right after this break. Okay, welcome back to the One Love Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show. Thank you for being here, Dr. Peter Amato. It's going to be about you today and who you are, so our audience can be totally comfortable with you as our co-host and also our doctor.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Julia, and thank you, folks. I'm honored to be here. I'm tickled to, have my own show and be amongst family here and talk to you about all things that matter, basically. And we're going to have a wonderful show. You asked basically who I am.
No, before we ask who you are, we need to know your educational background. What makes you qualified to be called a doctor?
Okay. Well, actually, like probably most all of you, I've had my bumps in the road, if you will. It's just part of being human. And I've had a wonderful life, and along the way, ran into some troubles and, addiction issues. We all have family issues, financial issues, relationship issues. And somehow through all that and being involved in a family business, my dad told me, son, you are the fourth child, and I'm going to try and scrape up the money for you to go to school. Okay? So I was the first one in my family to begin attending night school because I worked full-time days. And I went for business. We had a small business in the family. So I went to school for business and marketing because I was going to be the one to help flourish our business. That was his intention for me. So at 13, I began working full-time, 7 days a week, going to school at night when I got into college when I was 17, and maintained working and going to college. Eventually, after working in the family business for many years, I decided to go back to school. I had an interest in nutrition. So I went to get my bachelor's degree in nutrition for a few years while working, again, full-time. And then I followed that up a few years later with going back for my master's degree in transpersonal psychology. So I had a business background, nutrition, and psychology, and I had a real keen interest in philosophy, Eastern philosophy, spirituality, nutrition, wellness. My dad, as I grew up, had chronic heart fatigue.
Wow.
So I constantly was watching my mom nurture him along and try to feed him the best possible diet, and he was on vitamins long before they were even popular. It may have contributed to my wanting to go to school for nutrition.
Yeah, that's a good area.
And then, like a lot of families, we had some dysfunction in our family, I was included, and maybe that took me into psychology to learn what makes us tick and why we have issues in our tissues again,
Yeah.
So with that being said, I continued my studies while being in the family automotive business. And then at one point, I got heavily involved in drugs and alcohol and went down a lot of wrong roads in my life that at some point came back as a benefit in my life, as a blessing. And at that point in time, I went back to school, believe it or not, at the age of 55 years old for my doctoral degree, which took me 6 years to accomplish in the world of integrative health sciences and mind-body medicine.
Wow.
And along the way, I had opened up the Inner Harmony Wellness Centers 1997 when I was 38 years old, going to school for nutrition and also transpersonal psychology on that journey. So that's been my formal education over the lifetime.
Wow. And to see that we're human, we have our highs and lows, ups and downs, and we are not exempted from it from life. We have to go through that particular path. And Dr. Amato has been there, and he has done that. And he has redeemed himself and be able to be on top of it, to be able to impact the rest of the world as he wants to do today.
Julia, that's so true, and you said such a powerful statement. All of us suffer in our lives, whether it be emotional stress or psychological stress, financial stress, familial issues. And at the heart of this show, that's really what I want to bring to the people, that, folks, we're all human. Let's put it on the table right here, and let's talk about it from week to week. We want to have you involved at some level. We want to work with you. We want to be at a level that everybody can be helped. Everybody, okay? So don't ever think that any topic is the wrong topic. As we proceed, we're going to ask you to send us topics. We want to talk about your needs, not ours. All right, one love. Be right back.
Okay, welcome back to the program with the One Love Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show. I'm your host, Julie Brown, and I'm here with Dr. Peter Amato. Again, it's going to be about Dr. Peter Amato getting real, putting it on the table to let you know that we are human. Dr. Amato, you've had many businesses. Apart from you are a doctor, you're also an author, which you never let the people know that you're also an author. You've written books, and you're also a yoga master. But before we get into that, tell us about your business, Inner Harmony. When did it start? What did we do? What do you do there? Tell us about it.
All right, that's a great question, and thank you for asking it of me, Julia. And folks, I never intended to be in the wellness business. I was a drag racer and an auto parts salesman most of my younger life. And for some reason, whether it be, as we say, a nudge, a grudge, or a judge, I ended up going to rehab. And along that path, when I came out of rehab at 38 years old, I said, I'm going to begin meditating. I'm going to begin taking nutrition, working on my physical health, exercising. I surrounded myself with coaches, different types of therapists. I started traveling, Julia, and going around the world and going to workshops and lectures and seminars. I became a sponge for change, okay? And I didn't even know where I was going or why I was heading in that direction. And I didn't even understand, but I was compelled. There was something inside me that was just driving me and leading me to places that I didn't even know existed, okay? And after a couple years, I said, wow, this is unbelievable. I never even heard about what I've just done, but I've got to tell my friends, and I've got to open up a little joint so that other people could learn a little bit, because this has changed my life more than I never even knew I could change, let alone how to change. So I opened up a little wellness center called Inner Harmony Wellness Center in Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, and I surrounded myself with people who, at the time, I learned a phrase called like-minded people. These were people that they didn't know how to talk about where they wanted to end up. They didn't know exactly how to get there, but all they knew was that, I think life could be different. I think I could have a better life experience, and I'm sure there's others like me. And, you know, as the Spirit moves, people started gathering and we started chit-chatting and talking, and one thing led to another, and someone said, you know, I get massage therapy. I know this guy that massages your body and relaxes your body. Wow, let's bring him in. So he would come in and give an evening talk or a lecture. Someone else would say, wow, I know this woman who does reflexology. She rubs your feet and you can feel the changes all the way to the top of your head. We said, really? Long story short, we began an educational series at Inner Harmony Wellness Center, and free evening lectures, very inexpensive weekend workshops. And guess what? I was the student and the lucky one to surround myself with these people. And I said, you know, I'm going to go study also.
Wow.
And that's when I started.
So they inspired you.
Boy, did they ever.
Wow.
They inspired me.
That's good.
And I went to conferences called soul recovery conferences.
Wow.
In other words, all of the latest authors, theologians, experts in nutrition, meditation, that were all writing books. Personal growth was just starting to become a subject of its own, self-discovery. And again, I'm reading their books. I'm fresh out of rehab. My mind is clear. I opened a wellness center. I'm reading. I'm going to these conferences. I'm going for week-long certification trainings.
Wow.
And we're building community here in northeastern Pennsylvania, of all places, where it's a rather conservative area, folks. You know, different than the Caribbean, where it's one love, okay? So we struggled and had a hard time. And that's basically what we did, is begin to talk about a big word called change. How do we address it? How do we interpret it? And just invite folks in. And it became a big hit. And it got popular fast. And people were coming from hundreds of miles away. We were having weekly meditation circles. 25 to 50 people would come for the free evening meditation. I was off studying with some of the great pioneers and legends in the field to become certified, to bring the knowledge home to my neighbors, my friends, my family.
But how long did that actually take? Because you were also a sponge and a student. And how long did all of this take for you to reach that place where you're able to impart, to able to come together, bring the community together? How long are we talking about in regards to this?
Well, again, I was 38 years old when I opened it up.
Right.
And after about 2 years, I began teaching and training and inviting community.
Right. So it was 2 years span, which is good. It's very good that 2 years, because normally if you open a business, it takes a while for you to get into it. So continue, Dr. Peter Amato, because people want to know time span as to how it is done, when it is done, and how they can also learn and do stuff that you're doing.
Right.
Yeah?
Well, I believe it's a lifelong journey. I don't believe in time myself. I think that, you know, we say in one other program that I'm in recovery, we say, in God's time, not ours.
Okay.
Okay? So, like I said, when I look back at my life now, I never would have guessed that where I would end up today would look like where I am today. Some days I don't even know how I got here or what led me here. All I know is it's meant to happen, and I'm here now, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful in my life, and I'm here to love and serve and give back to you people what I've learned. That's why Julie and I call our show One Love.
All right, that was a mouthful, and we are appreciative of Dr. Amato's willingness to transform, to impart, and to share, not only here in Pennsylvania, but also in the beautiful island of St. Martin, where he also has a second business of the Inner Harmony, and he does very well. He has awesome clients. But we'll hear more about this when we come back right after this break. Welcome back to the One Love, Wellbeing and Lifestyle Show. I'm your host, Julia Brown, and we're here with Dr. Peter Amato. On the break, we were talking about willingness, and he mentioned willingness in life in general, in business, in just life in general. Could you elaborate more on this, Dr. Peter?
Absolutely. And I'm grateful. Julia had mentioned about my willingness to be here today. And the word struck me because in all my years of health and healing, which is over 20 years, that to me is the key, was my willingness for my life to become different. Mm-hmm. Folks, I was successful. I worked hard and had success. I had all the trappings of life that we all strive for. You know, a nice car, a nice apartment, pretty girlfriend, all of the stuff that they say we should accomplish in our lives. And guess what? I was unhappy, I was unfulfilled, and that's how I ended up using drugs and alcohol, ending up in rehab. But in rehab, they said to me, the only thing you have to change in your life to be happy is everything. And I said to them, wow, I thought I was already happy before I got here in rehab. And they said, well, look, left to your own devices, you ended up here. So they taught me that what I needed to invoke was a sense of willingness to change. Now, I had been in control of my own destiny my whole life for 38 years. Now I had to say that somebody else was going to tell me how to change my life and run my life, and I was going to accept that. And if I did that, I would be a better person. That sometimes is pretty hard to swallow, to become a student of other people guiding your life, and you have to surrender at that level to being a student of change. So, willingness is the key to change. Even a habit, Julia, as you know, if we want to try to change a habit, what has to change first? The willingness.
Willingness to do it.
And then to be available to recognize when we fall, when we fail, and get back up on the horse, as they say. And try again, right?
We're totally glad that you did that, Dr. P. Otherwise, you would not have been here to impart this knowledge to others. Now, we know you practice in Pennsylvania, and actually internationally, because you have clients all over the world. Now, we just want to ask you, tell us about some of your clients.
Well, that's a great question. And over the many years of practicing, what I've learned that people who come to me for all different reasons. And the first thing I have to recognize is that I don't know why they're coming to me. They may think they know why they're showing up at my door, but very often it's never the truth. They may say, well, I'm coming for health reasons, or I'm coming because I'm having a relationship issue or a financial issue. In other words, when we talk about health from a mind-body perspective, very often in our lives, what we think is going on and causing the problems often has nothing to do with the problem itself. There's a very big word that I've learned. I'll say it in 3 parts. It's psychoneuroimmunology. Basically, the psychology of the brain, the neurology of the wiring, and the immune system. The 3 of them talk to each other. And if there's a disconnect or something from the past that's messing with something in the present, it will affect our health in the future. So that's my job as an integrative healthcare practitioner, is to try to pierce the veil of what people may think is wrong with them, to try to really get to the root of the problem that may be causing the symptoms of their health. Does that make sense?
It does, because It's just like when you go to a regular doctor. Sometimes you go, you said, oh, my head hurts. But it's more than just a headache. It's usually something deeper. And that's where you come in. You can psychoanalyze them and say, okay, then this is the root, and you try to fix the root. Not just the headache per se, but you go deeper. So that is why we're grateful that you did your courses, you became the sponge, and you delve into this area. Now,
that's exactly right. And you use a fine example when you mention a headache. Some people would think the headache is the problem. I would say the headache is the symptom of a deeper problem. And I would wonder, well, what caused the headache? And ultimately, the answer is most of the time stress. And I know for me, I see stress as unmanageability in my life. That when I'm not, as we say in meditation, taking care of the present moment, I'm projecting the future, I get stressed out. Okay? And I think it's common amongst all of us, you know. But if I learn how to really practice being present and not stressing out about what I need to do next, where I need to be, how much time, appropriating, and that's just common. It's just part of being human, you see. That's what causes my headache. So that to me is almost saying, okay, let's review your life, review your day, review the way you schedule, plan, and abide your time, and maybe teach yourself a lesson that you need to try to not pack 10 hours of busyness in an 8-hour day and gain some manageability in my life. That's called insanity. So that was a perfect excuse, reason, the headache syndrome.
Right.
Now, with that being said, you asked what type of people come to Inner Harmony? Well, we'll talk about that a little more after the break, but basically, people from all walks of life, you know, adolescents, young adults, elderly people, people that are well, people that have symptoms of illness and dysfunction, people that are sick, and then people that have disease, and then again, people that are dying. So I've worked with people from cradle to grave for 20 years now.
Wow, that's a long time to be doing what you do, Dr. Amato. And we are grateful. We've come to the end of our show. But before you go, we'd just like Dr. Amato to impart and share with us something positive that we can hold on to let them know that there's hope.
All we can say is just watch the show from week to week and you'll be glad you did. One love, over and out. Thank you.